Welcome to the PRFFP, the podcast showcasing the films and the directors of the Party Room Film Festival. This week's director directed Snapped, Interconvoluted Chin, and instant nerd classic, The Greatest Showdown. Please welcome Josiah Downey.
Oh, thank you.
I probably need to put some applause or something in there.
An applause here.
Yeah, or it's just going to be really awkward. But that's probably on brand with this podcast, so shouldn't be too bad. All right, so why hesitate? We've waited almost a year for this season, so let's just get into the questions. This year, the council, I'm going to say something controversial, like why not, since we're kicking it off. The council...
That's the perfect way to start off the first episode, to start with controversy. Yeah. That's how you get people.
Yeah, exactly. That's how, you got to start with the hook. The council dropped the ball this year. They could not come up with categories on their own, so they let us choose our categories for us.
Yeah, the council pretty much sucks at their job.
I appreciate that unbiasedness. We all got to get with our partners or our opponents and choose our own categories. What was your first reaction to that? I mean, you obviously knew a little ahead of time, but...
I did. We had discussed a few different things, and I don't remember exactly how we came to that conclusion that we were going to let everybody choose. I think some of it was just like, we had been talking to different people, and it was like some people already had kind of clear ideas of what they wanted to do. So we're like, well, if we just let people kind of choose, they still have some kind of a topic to go off of and compare, but it won't be like have to shoehorn their previous idea into whatever we come up with. It was a little bit tricky because I was rematched against Landers.
And y'all came up with the category of versus. So how did that discussion come about?
Yeah, Landers was moving around the time that we were kind of getting everything started, like leading into the beginning of the festival. So he was like incredibly busy. So I pretty much would like message him once a week or so and be like, hey, have you thought about categories at all or anything? And then like a week later, he'd message me back and be like, not quite yet.
Yeah.
So I threw out some ideas. One of them was versus and a couple of other things. Secretly, I really wanted to do versus because I had already come up with the concept for The Greatest Showdown. Probably like a month prior to when we even started choosing categories and stuff. Yeah, so eventually he was just like, you go ahead and choose. I'm good with whatever. So I went with versus. I felt like it was a fairly open category that we could pretty much do a lot of things.
Last year on the podcast, last season, many of the call outs were made as a joke by me, and then it got revealed that those grudge matches were actually the matchups. That was your actual opponent. What was your thought on that?
Well, I mean, we were like, basically we were talking and we're like, well, Pavon's pretty much done the work for us of matching everybody up. So let's just go with that. Because I think there was only like maybe two or three more matchups that need to happen outside of the ones that happened in the podcast. So we're like, let's just roll with it. And, we're pretty good at rolling with different ideas and stuff like that. So, it's, yeah, I was happy to go up against Landers again, and he almost beat me this time. I believe it was like a 1 vote difference. So
was it really?
I believe so. If I remember correctly, there was like, I think I only won by 1 vote. So if Landers and Allison had been there and had voted for his film, then he would have won. So
well, almost edged him out. He just has to be more committed to the film festival. And I mean, if you believe in the festival will believe in you. So we're calling you out, Landers. You got to stick with it and you got to pay your dues.
Yeah, hopefully he'll be able to make it next year because his film was awesome. His film was a brilliant idea.
So you've kind of already told us that you had this idea of McGlone versus A Billion Lions about a week or two in advance. So what were your reactions to when you actually got your actor, the prop, and the line?
I was very excited about the actor because my concept already was to go with the idea of, you versus a billion lions. So that was already the concept. And then when I got Sam, I was like, Sam, A, loves sports, and B, has actually done some sports announcer stuff, like when he was at Asbury.
Oh, yeah, at Asbury, yep.
So I was like, this is the perfect fit for him. And he did fantastic. He came over and recorded for an afternoon, and we pretty much just sat there and just went through all the different lines, and he would figure out the line and then go for it. We'd do a couple takes. It was really chill and a lot of fun. Lots of cracking up and laughing. I've got a good amount of outtakes, so I do want to put that together. Maybe I'll try to release that around the time of this podcast.
So give me a general timeline. So idea kind of came to you a few weeks before. Then how about the script, casting, then shooting and editing?
Yeah, not a whole lot happened in the first couple of weeks. I already had the general idea prior to, so I knew that part. I think probably maybe third week in, I started working on the script and getting that finished, and then started reaching out to people and like making sure that just checking if they could be in it. I didn't want to do an idea that required getting a bunch of people together on a certain day and stuff. So I decided to do it with the green screen idea of just kind of putting it all together in post, which worked well. And, I was able to get all my pieces and everything, but it was definitely created a lot of work on the back end of just combining everything, sorting through everything and combining everything. I think I had most of my pieces by like a couple weeks before the deadline, and had started to work on it a little bit. And then it wasn't until the weekend of that I really worked on it in earnest. And that Saturday, I pretty much got up and then edited, and would take a break every couple hours for a little bit and edited through the afternoon into the evening, into the night, just trying to get everything put together in time. So I barely got it in. I almost got my name added to the list of those who have been late, but I managed to avoid it by a few hours.
For the sake of clarity, that list is Tanner, Zach, Trevor, Cody, Levi, and Mitchell. It just felt important to remember that.
Yeah, always good to make sure that we all remember.
All right, so let's get into the actual masterpiece that is a film. Actually, no, I don't even have this question written down. That's pretty dumb. What inspired this idea? Obviously, the Billion Lions versus the original Pokemon is like a long debated nerd topic, but how did me versus a Billion Lions come to mind? Did I make you mad or something? Like, what happened?
No. I was thinking back to some of those memories of sitting around our table in the caf and discussing debating really about the Billion Lions thing. I think I mainly thought of you because of that you like wrestling and things like that, and so I was like that it would make sense that he would be versing something. And it would be hilarious if it was a Billion Lions. Really, the seed of the idea was Billion Lions versus you, and then you losing instantly. Like it not even being a fight. Like I wanted it to be like 90% build up to the fight, and then the fight just be as anticlimactic as possible. So that was the seed of the idea. And then from there, it was just a kind of a matter of figuring out the other characters and stuff to kind of lead into that and fill it all in.
I am swallowing a lot of pride by doing this interview because, I personally believe I could last a couple minutes with the Lions, but we'll find out on another day, I suppose. While introducing me, during my title card, whatever. Whenever Sam is introducing me, he's listing off my resume. I'm a 33-time world championship wrestler. What other things have I wrestled?
Oh, that's a good question.
All 33 right now.
All 33.
No, but give me a taste. What have I been the champion of? Like, who have I fought in this universe?
You spent a fair amount of time in the state of Florida, mainly because of all the different creatures that you could wrestle there. So, like, you've done a fair bit of alligator wrestling.
Oh yeah,
which
that's
is
actually true. But yeah,
you've done a fair bit of alligator wrestling. You wrestled a baby gorilla at the zoo, and nearly lost.
all right. If you're gonna call me out like this,
but did succeed in pinning the gorilla after probably like 5 or 6 hours of you also tried to verse against 1 billion mice.
Yeah. Yeah. How'd that go for me?
It worked out. Ultimately, you were able to just kind of keep on rolling around and taking them out, but it probably wasn't a very pleasant experience with all the different little mouse bites. Like if you imagine like Ratatouille when he's like running around and scurrying and biting in places, it was pretty much like that, but like your entire body afterwards.
All right. See, this is dangerous because like I will get arrested, like because now all I'm thinking is like, all right, how far away is it to the nearest zoo where I can fight a baby gorilla? Like I'm just gonna get arrested going and proving myself. Like you can't call me out like this. Tell me about this news network. Like, is this taking place in the future where everything has become one conglomerate media source? Because it is ABC, CNN, and NBC.
So basically, yeah, it's in the future where there are only 2 media companies left. There's the ABC, CNN, NBC, and then there's Fox, and that's it. Those are the only two media sources that you can go to at this point. Yeah, everything has been absorbed by either one or the other of those giant media conglomerations.
It is also worth mentioning that there are only 20,000 lions in the world today.
That's the point Zach's dad brought up as well.
Yeah,
that he brought up. So yeah, in this universe, I guess they've really perfected cloning to be able to just like multiply and make sure they can get up to 1 billion lions, just so that you could specifically fight them.
Well, so here's a question: am I the champion going into this fight, or were they the champion? Who was the underdog there? Like, did I have the belt going in?
Yes, you have the belt going in. Basically, you had won the championship 33 times against all kinds of other creatures, and then primarily against people. And so you're just full of confidence going into this, and you're like, I'm gonna take 1 billion lions. So yeah, the lions have just been training and doing smaller fights and things like that, but had never fought as an entire group before this point. But this was their opportunity, and you were like, I can take all of them.
I just love the idea of like, you know, you've got like African lions, you've got like lions from all of these different parts of the world. Like, you know, there are language barriers. Like, they have to learn to work together in order to defeat me. Like, there's a lot of training that has to happen to defeat a Jacob McGlone. I'm sure everybody who is listening to this podcast gets the name Bon Burgundy, but tell me about Kitty Catterton.
Yeah, so Kitty Catterton, basically, I knew that Melissa was going to be playing that character. And so I was like, what do you want your reporter name to be? And she was like, I don't know. Yeah, I think I just came up with Kitty Catterton just because I knew that she loves cats. And so I was like, what do you want to be, Kitty Catterton? And she's like, yes, I love it. So yeah, it was one of those things where I couldn't think of some kind of a pun or something to pull it off of. So I just went with something that I knew that she would enjoy. But yeah, there isn't really any any pun in that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that Kitty Catterton will be her next D&D character. Like, I'm positive that name will come up.
Yeah, I mean, her first D&D character was named Aloris, which is cat in Greek. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was either Greek or Latin, yeah. The assigned actor you had was the amazing Sam Maddox. So what was Aaron's part? That just feels so random. Like, why was that included?
Basically, I wanted to incorporate, I really wanted to incorporate a bunch of different nerds into it from the group. So for the people who were involved, I only told each person as much as they needed to know to be in it.
Yeah, we'll get to the bottom of that in just a second.
Yes, so nobody knew the entire script. Like when I sent any person, I only sent it. So for him, all the instructions I gave him, I wanted him to be holding Chuckles and saying the line, Chuckles, I don't think this is the Pug Owners Convention. So he just sent me a couple takes of himself doing that. One thing that I did not remember to instruct him on was to pause afterwards so that Melissa, on her part, could like hesitate and stuff and like not know what to say. So what I ended up doing is, if you watch him, he says his line, and then he starts to go in reverse, and all the actions happen backwards again. Because I flip-flopped it and just started playing it backwards to make sure that the time actually he was up there long enough. It was mostly just a inside joke, because this was a very much a targeted film. It was not made for a wider audience. It was very much targeted towards our group. So it's like everybody knows Chuckles, everybody knows Aaron. So I just went to him. I can't be over there.
And then, of course, you have Matt on statistics, which, by the way, while we're talking about it, I think other than Bargain Batman, I think that your film was the best cast out of all of the other ones. You've got Sam being a sports announcer. You've got Melissa like being the Melissa being the reporter, and you've got Matt doing statistics, and then you've got me, who is, I mean, let's be honest here. If anybody could stand a chance against a billion lions out of this group, it would be Jacob McGlone. So Matt doing statistics, did you do those out or did he do it? Tell me about that script.
I did script it for him. I did write it all out and send it to him. I really gave him no instruction as far as delivery, but I was delighted with the delivery that he gave. when it came back, I was like, this is great, because it's like this weird mix of kind of like an old-timey sports announcer with almost like a cartoon character type of a feel.
Like the inflection, it's kind of a ramp where he kind of starts right this and it ends up here.
Exactly. So yeah, I can't take credit for any direction there, because I literally just sent him the lines. I said, can you do this on a green screen or against a white wall? He sent it back to me, and it was golden. So yes, I did script all those things out for him. He might have tweaked a little bit of it, but for the most part.
I think my favorite thing at doing my research as part of my job as host of this podcast is you put a little bit of history into that little sports cast. The longest wrestling match that has ever been recorded did last 11 hours and 40 minutes. Just the 1912 Olympics in Stockholm featured Estonia's Martin Klein and Alfred Asakainen of Finland in the middleweight division, but they lasted for 11 hours and 40 minutes.
Which is insane. Like, that's an incredibly long time to be doing
to be doing anything.
Yeah, to be doing anything in general.
To be awake, even.
Yeah, but to be fighting one another and just constantly exerting, and for neither person to give up. Yeah. So yeah, I had Googled that and found out what it was. And then I was like, and then I just divided 1 billion by that, which made it even funnier, because it was such a ridiculous amount of lions that you would have to kill even to be able to accomplish. Like, just thinking, even if you were to fight the lions one by one, that would be an interesting statistic to figure out, is how long would it take to do that. Maybe we should pause real quick and
Yeah, no, I'm looking it up right now. So let's say it takes me 5 minutes to kill a lion. And I mean, like, that's being pretty generous. I could probably do it in 3 minutes, let's be honest.
Sure.
So it would be about 3 million days.
Yep. So there you go.
There we go. 9,512 years. If I could defeat the lion one at a time. and I'm sure there's no breaks between. I'm sure there weren't any timeouts or anything.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, definitely a statistical absurdity.
But I don't. It made me really happy because I thought I was going to catch you in a fallacy. So I Googled and I was like, what's the longest thing? And it said 11 hours and 40 minutes. And I just smiled so hard. I was like, oh, Josiah, he got me.
Oh, I also Googled it. I really didn't look much up about it other than I just Googled what was the longest fight as I was writing the part. And then just took that and divided it. But yeah, there's a little bit of trivia for you.
Just I got outbrained. I got outsmarted. The odds that you put me at, 333 million to 1, just to put that in statistics, if I were to put $600 on myself and win, I would be as rich as Elon Musk. Obviously, I didn't win. You would have just lost your $600. But how did you get these odds? Is it a random number, or did you actually like put any thought into that one?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I tried to make everything as nerd applicable as possible. So 303 is just 3 threes from nerd, since nerd is
okay,
and stuff like that. So it's just 3 threes. Yeah, that was pretty much it for that. I just tried to incorporate the number 3 in there as many times as I could.
All right. Now, obviously, your film, it presses up against the line as far as time limit goes, but I feel as though I could have had more of a it's called cutting a promo in pro wrestling. All I say is I'm gonna win. I probably could have done something better. Like, if somebody says that these lions can beat me, they're lying. Like, probably.
Sure.
I am stronger than them, and I can move faster than them, like move faster. That they're just a bunch of dandelions that are jealous of my mane.
Oh, wow. Man, but put some thought into that.
Yeah, I mean, like, but hey, you were the writer. I just wanted your vision to be realized, but I'm just saying we could have done more. Okay.
That is true. That's true. Yeah. I edited it all together and I finished, and I did it in sections because my computer is a decade old.
Yeah. In the credits, it says your 2012 laptop. Goodness.
It was struggling. I was worried that Premiere might just completely crash. So I did it in segments and then combined it together at the end. That way, if I had lost one segment, I didn't lose everything. And when I combined it, it was like 8 minutes and a second or something like that. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. Because I didn't think it was going to be as long as it was with the amount. Because I think it was like 6 pages. It was mainly just like the build-up scenes and stuff that kind of extended it out. I considered putting in when there's that whole series of reaction shots right after you die. I considered sprinkling in a bunch of stock images of people looking shocked, like just random people doing that. And I was like, no, let's just keep it to there. And I'm glad I did, because I would have had to cut it out anyway if I had put it in there.
No, you had about 5 seconds of wiggle room, which, I mean, speaking of that, I would have loved for that to have lasted a little bit longer, just to get a few more of those expressions from Sam. Each one was iconic and is meme worthy, so I'm going to start using those as like reaction GIFs and stuff.
You definitely should. Yeah, he gave me a lot of good options on that, so I appreciate it. Shout out to Sam for his incredible acting abilities.
So who is, I mean, you can answer this like within the film or just the actor, but who is the Keeper of the Lions / who is the voice of the Keeper of the Lions?
It was actually me.
Oh, okay.
One of the final things that was shot. So for the Keeper of the Lions, the original concept that I had was to have the Keeper of the Lions be a super stressed out person who's just like ah type of
It's
a
a lot
thing.
of feeding.
Yeah, yeah, and so that was my original thought, and then I was like, no, let's make them as intimidating and scary as possible. So then I swung over to that. So I actually considered reaching out to Nathan McBride
Mhm.
about being the Keeper of the Lions. Um, but I think I reached out to him and then he didn't respond for a while, and he was pretty busy over the summer. So I was like, I'm not going to bug him. And I was running out of time. So I think that was one of the final shots that I got. And I'm pretty sure I shot it on Saturday, the weekend that it
Mhm.
was due. I shot those of me just with a bed sheet wrapped around me
Yeah.
for that. And then I shot the mousetrap turning around in circles. And for the final two shots that I captured. And then the voice is also me.
Mhm.
I just pitch shifted down, so it's two versions. So it's one that's already pitch shifted down, and then one
Mhm.
that's pitch shifted down like an octave or two lower than
Mhm.
that, just to make it as deep as
Like as
possible.
if, and also like kind of that little like ethereal echo, like just last year on the podcast you said that you wanted to try and use all of the props, but this year you also used all of the lines. I just you must have a game plan for like 10 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, my last year I used both props from 2020 and 2021, and then this year I used all three of the props. The lines thing I just decided to do for the joke. It's kind of a riff off of what Matt did his first year,
The
where
Mousetrap Killers.
where he kept almost saying the line, but then would
Mhm.
say something slightly adjacent to it. So it's kind of a riff off of that of using a callback to those previous lines. So that was more because it fit the concept for this year. I decided
Mhm.
to go for that and use it. I don't really have any plans to use because if you keep doing that, eventually your entire film is just rattling off a bunch of lines.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is like, what are you
but
gonna do?
props, you can have it in the background. You can do it real quick. You can do a pan across of a bunch of things. Like there's so
Mhm.
many things that you can do to fit the props in fairly easily. So
Mhm.
I think that will be more sustainable. Now it could get more difficult depending on what the props end up being in the future. But I mean, now I have mouse traps and a Nickelback CD. The shovel I do not have, so I'm gonna have to get a shovel or keep borrowing the shovel from Zach's dad.
I just imagine that like by year 50 of the festival, like, Lord willing, we go that long,
Mhm.
like there's gonna have to be a shot that's like Raiders of the Lost Ark and it like in the cargo
Mhm.
area, he's like pushing away and the camera pulls back and there's just all these props.
Yeah,
I hope you have a lot of storage in your house.
yeah. I'll have to keep coming up with creative ideas and ways to fit it in there. But yeah, it'll be good.
Today I noticed that every single scene of this film has special effects. Whether it's the arena, the newsroom, even Andrew, with the weather update, like raining, like it's still special effects. I mean, tell me all about that.
Sure. So for most of the backgrounds and overlays and things like that, I did a 7-day subscription to Envato Elements and just downloaded a ton of stuff that I needed over the course of that as I was finishing up editing. Um, I could not, for the life of me, find a sportscaster background, so I just found this weird wraparound light thing, which I put
Mhm,
behind Sam in
mhm.
place of that because I could not find a sports background,
It
which I thought was
still looked great. Don't worry
yeah,
about it.
it worked. It worked for what it needed to be. So yeah, so pretty much all sound effects, music, backgrounds, the rain that's over Andrew, just all of it was from that. As far as the green screen, the only person in the entire film who was actually on green screen was Matt Stice because he owned green screen. Everybody else shot it against a white wall. So what I used to separate the subject from the background was a program called Runway ML, which is like an online video editing software. And you can use it for free as long as you only export in 720p, which is about half the resolution that we normally use for the party room films and stuff, unless you're like Matt Stice or Aaron, who did theirs in 4K, in which it's a fourth of the quality of that. So it has a feature in there where you drop in the clip, you select the person almost like you would in Photoshop, and then it just figures out what it is and kind of tracks them as they go. As you can tell from it, it's not perfect. It misses segments, especially when there's a lot of movement and stuff. But it was close enough for what I needed. So the problem was that I had, I think, over 40 different clips that I needed to put in, remove the background, export as a separate video file, and then put back into the project at half resolution, blow back up again, which is why everything looks fairly grainy. So that was a lot of the effort and time in editing, was just doing that process and then combining it with all the other parts. And the fact that, almost none of the interactions that happen in the film happen in real life. Even the scene where Melissa is, Kitty Catterton is interviewing the Keeper of the Lions. I didn't shoot the Keeper of the Lions part until the final day, and she was out of town at that point. So even that part, even though the two of us lived in the same place, that was even shot separately. So almost all of it was separate pieces that were then combined together.
Well, I mean, it's definitely good that you found that program. I was thinking that you were having to like cut around and mask each individual frame, and I was like, this dude is a saint if he's doing that.
No. If it had taken that, then probably would have just put a circle mask around him and just had everybody in like a bubble. But part of the reason I did the project was that I had seen a video where they were talking about this program, and I was like, oh, well, this is perfect, because
that's what I need.
It works pretty well, which is all I needed to for this. So I'm glad that Runway ML is a thing.
I think you got everyone with that commercial break, because that's exactly how live events usually are. I think everybody went, no, like I remember that getting a big pop. I mean, come on, I would have lasted a few minutes at least, right? You believe in me?
Yeah, I mean, so
if you had to say objectively, what do you think actually would happen?
Realistically, I think we would have at least seen the Lions get to you. because they would have to like run down that runway and stuff. So yeah, in reality, lions don't move at the speed of light, which apparently in this universe they do. I do think so. Here's the problem though: if they opened up that gate, it would just be a steady stream of lions. So even if you could start taking them out, say you like knock down the first one, the next one
I would
hit that and jump up, and you start knocking them down, right? Eventually, you just have a giant pile of lions that's enclosing down upon you.
Yeah, but I would at least
even if you're taking them out, like the sheer mass, and they'll circle around you, so you'll have them all around. You would eventually.
I can spin kick. I got it, man.
Well, but no, hear me out though. So like, say it's like 300. You're taking them out one after another, slow motion, all of that. You're killing them on all sides. Eventually, you would be in basically like a well of dead lions. So you would be at the bottom, and then they would climb up, and they would start falling on top of you one after another.
Yeah, and I would start climbing the corpses because nothing can defeat Jacob.
and eventually you would just be crushed. even if you could just like take them out one after another. I think.
All right. I have dealt with this for long enough, and so I've got a surprise for you.
Okay.
Part of the reason I wanted to pilot with you is because The Greatest Showdown, your film from this year, actually inspired the first mini game. So I would like to know who would win in a fight.
Oh, all right.
I want you to answer these. Like, you can think about it if you want to. You can also you can think about it if you want to, but also if you just want to go yes, no. But for right now, since you humiliated me, I want to know who would win in a fight between Josiah and Hulk Hogan?
302 pounds, 6'7". Yeah, I'm gonna admit that Hulk Hogan would definitely take me out. I don't think I would have. I don't think I would last very long.
All right, who would win in a fight, Josiah or Captain Hook? 6 foot, scared of crocodiles, hook for a hand that does slashing damage.
I think I could probably take Captain Hook.
Okay.
Especially because he has Smee on his side, and Smee is a bumbling idiot. So I feel like he would probably end up helping me defeat Captain Hook.
And Captain Hook is usually used to fighting like preteens, so I think you would probably have it. Who would win, you or Adam Driver?
Oh, damn.
Under special abilities, I wrote was Kylo Ren because I don't know anything about Adam Driver. He might catch you with that nose of his. I know that. Like, that might. Bah!
That is true. Would we be fighting with or without lights?
I will give you a melee weapon. It won't be lightsabers. This is you versus the actor, not versus Kylo Ren.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So you can have a bat or a hammer or something like that. Anything melee, but no guns or anything.
Yeah. Would he have a melee weapon as well?
Probably.
Yeah, I feel like he would probably end up stabbing me through the stomach.
Okay. All right. Josiah or Ben Franklin?
Oh man.
Under weapons, he has bifocals, pen and quill, and also a lightning kite.
Yeah, it would depend on whether or not there was an active lightning storm happening. Because if there was an active lightning storm happening, then I'd pretty much be done.
I mean, he's basically four.
Yeah. If not, yeah, I guess it would depend. I know Ben Franklin used to sleep naked. He called them air baths, and he would just like sleep naked for a while. And he like thought that was a big part of health. So I wouldn't want to fight him in that state, but I think I would have a better chance of taking him out because he wouldn't have any of his weapons.
All right, so just general blanket, Josiah versus Ben Franklin, who wins?
Just generally, I think I could probably take Ben Franklin.
All right. Josiah versus a giraffe. Their feet are the size of dinner plates. They fight using their necks. They swing them around and go, bah, bah. What do you think?
I think if I had a baseball bat, I might be able to, because I could probably kneecap them.
Okay.
I think I could probably kneecap them. If I could avoid the swinging head, I might be able to kneecap them, and just because I'm so far down below where they're at. But I did feed a giraffe recently, and it is crazy just how huge they are and how flexible their necks are as they come down to you.
Oh yeah, I didn't think they weighed that much. They weigh 4,200 pounds. Like,
yeah, that's a lot. Yeah.
Josiah, who would win, you or Jonah? He was swallowed by the big fish. Was played by Archibald Asparagus in the VeggieTales movie.
Would I be fighting the biblical character Jonah, or the asparagus?
You'd be fighting the biblical character.
Okay.
Probably has a beard, can possibly communicate with whales like Aquaman.
I feel like I could probably beat Jonah. He was kind of a chicken. Yeah, he mostly ran away from his problems, so I'd probably end up trying to chase.
I like that a lot. I didn't think about that aspect when doing this matchup, but yeah, he would run away from you. All right, Josiah, who would win, you or Master Chief? Now he does
1,000 pounds.
That's with the armor on. He weighs like 180 without it, I think.
Okay. Wow, I did not realize his armor was that heavy.
Well, yeah, I think he's from like Mars or something. I really don't know anything about Halo or whatever this is, but he does have a gun and armor.
Yeah, I think he would probably take me out fairly.
Who would win, you or Mr. Peanut? He stands at 7.5 feet tall. He carries a cane, but he does have bad eyesight, hence the monocle.
Is Is this like the person who played Mr. Peanut? Or this is like the character, Mr. Peanut?
This is the character. According to the canon, he is 7.5 feet tall. And at his heaviest, like during a commercial or a cartoon or something, he weighed 300 pounds. That was his heaviest that he ever was.
That's pretty terrifying. I think I'd have a fighting chance if I could get his model and he didn't see me anymore. Then I think I'd have a fighting chance. But that would be my only shot. And if he fell on me, similar to the giraffe, I'd be done.
Well, I mean, what I'm thinking about right now that I'm like kind of visualizing this Peanut at 7.5 feet tall, is that cane also has to be at least like what, 4 feet long, and
it would be hard to get anywhere close to him.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's basically a supporting wooden beam.
But his shell, it would also depend on if his outer shell is like thick as like a normal peanut.
Oh yeah, he has an exoskeleton.
Or if it was like extra, because if it was like a normal peanut, like they're fairly easy to break. You could probably just start punching holes. But if it's like the thickness that you would imagine a giant peanut would be, like it's an inch thick, then yeah, I don't know how you would end up killing that thing.
Yeah, I actually, this one creates more problems than I realized. To all the nerds listening, I can't wait to hear your thoughts in the chat. But yeah, he has an exoskeleton, but he's half blind and carries a cane. It's interesting.
You should put a poll in after you post this episode with all these questions and see.
Well, here's the other thing. Is the cane stylish, or does it actually support, like, does he have leg problems? Like, because if you can get the cane away from him, maybe, he just falls over and then he's just a blind peanut that he can just wail on with the baseball bat. But like, if it's just stylish, then he might just be like fencing with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think
so anyway, with all that information, answer in 5 seconds. 5, 4.
No, after all that, I don't think I would beat him, ultimately.
Who would win in a fight, Josiah or Christopher Nolan? Now, I do think you would defeat him in like a director's position, but do you think you could take him like in hand-to-hand combat? His special power is mind games because, I mean, nobody knows what's going on in that dude's brain.
That is fair. That is fair. I think I'd have. Yes. I think I could probably beat him in a physical fight, because I think he would overthink it, and he would like get lost in it, and he'd think he was in Tenet, and he would think everything was moving backwards, but actually, in reality, it was not.
I like that. Who would win in a fight, Josiah or Grover from Sesame Street? He does claim to be a superhero. Whether or not that is true remains to be seen, I believe.
That is true. Those arms are rather flimsy, I would say. They don't strike fear into my heart. I think I'd probably win a fight. I'd probably feel pretty terrible afterwards. But I think if it came down to it and I had to beat up Grover, I think I probably could. So.
Who would win in a fight, you or Sandslash? I am led to believe that this is a Pokemon.
A Pokemon.
His ability is Sand Veil. I have no clue what that means, but he is a ground type. I have no clue what that means. But he's about the size of Andrew King, coming in at 3'3", and weighs about the same as Andrew King, 65 pounds. So what do you think?
So he's got some long claws. I imagine he's probably pretty good at digging. I feel like he could dig underneath and then just pop up and slash me in the ankles. I think I would probably end up losing to those sharp claws.
I mean, it almost looks like an armadillo a little bit too. Like if you tried to punch him, like those spikes would get you. Yeah. Who would win in a fight, you or Mike Wazowski?
Oh my goodness. I think I could beat him. I think I could probably punt him off the edge of something. Or he's got that giant eye. Like that's a liability right there. That giant. That's a pretty big target to hit. So
throw some sand at him real quick.
Yeah, just start pounding right in that eye.
Just start pounding at the eye. Ow, man, that hurt me. All right, you think you could take that one?
I
All
think
right.
so.
Earlier, you asked if you could. You asked if it was Jonah or Archibald Asparagus.
Mhm.
Not Archibald Asparagus, but his son, Junior Asparagus. Do you think you could take him in a fight? He is a known liar. He's about 5 to 8 years old.
I don't know that I could take him in a fight because morally, I don't know that I would feel right beating up a 5 to 8-year-old. So
Really? I mean, he defeats Goliath. You have to remember whenever
that is
he.
also true. Yeah.
So I think he has power, or the power came from God. But so I mean, I wouldn't feel that bad about it because this child has slain people.
That is true. If he has a sling, then I'm probably dead because that's a good ranged weapon. He can just take me out before I even get to it. Otherwise, I would say I probably have a good bit of size on him. I have broken a fair number of asparaguses in half.
Oh, call him out. Oh, so we're going with you winning that one?
Yes, I think I could win that.
All right. Now, tell me, Josiah versus Otto Orange. He is the Syracuse mascot. He has citrus, I guess. I don't know.
So recently, I helped work on a commercial for a
With all the mascots. Yeah.
Yes, for a museum that they were doing a rivalries exhibit. So they got together like 6 or 7 different mascots. And let me tell you, those things, those suits, they make you pretty helpless. Like it's very hard to maneuver around in those things or see where you're at. Like I would just need to like run behind him and then I could start taking, like if I just started running circles around him, he would lose me pretty quickly. And he wouldn't be able to catch me because you really can't see at all in that. So yeah, I think I could just run circles around him and eventually tire him out and take him down. So I
will say with him, like if you ran in a straight line, like it doesn't look like his legs are that caught up. Like it looks like he's got the legs to chase, but the second you leave his field of vision, you're home free probably.
Exactly. Yeah. If you just start cutting around, like yeah, he's just gonna be constantly circling, trying to figure out where the heck I'm at.
I can also attest I was the Chick-fil-A cow for 2 years, and it does suck being a mascot. You cannot see anything, you cannot do anything, and you're constantly fatigued. You think you've got that one?
Yes. I feel fairly confident in my abilities to take out a mascot.
Fair enough. Now, last one of this little mini game. Josiah, would you win in a battle between you and Mr. Krabs? He is about 3 inches tall. He weighs about 5 ounces, and he has claws for clawing. So, what do you think?
I think I could take Mr. Krabs. I think I could probably crush him.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, that is all of the mini game that I have. So, thank you for playing that with me.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, man. Can you give me a tier list? What do you think is the best you've done so far? Year 1, 2, or 3?
I would say I think as far as a party room film this past year's was kind of the goal was that it was as party room as I could possibly make it. From that standpoint, I love Interconvoluted Show. And I think it's fun even as a standalone concept, like outside of the festival and stuff. So that definitely has a dear place. But yeah, as far as party room films, I think it's probably the Greatest Showdown would be my number one.
That followed by Interconvoluted Shin and then Snapped. Yep. I mean, that is a good trajectory line for you. You just keep getting better and you keep knocking it out of the park. A lot of times we talk about who we want as our actor. Who do you want to act for?
I think, who I'd like to really be in would be Paul Sigler. I would enjoy being in a Sigler comedy or whatever he's putting together.
Whatever he's doing, you don't have any. Do you have a preference on character, or are you just signing up? You want to be Paul's actor?
Yeah, I just enjoy working with him. I think it'd be fun to be in one of his.
Last season on the podcast, I asked who you wanted to call out. I asked for grudge matches and rivalries. this year I want to ask different. If you could have a tag team partner, like if we paired up as directors for films, who would you choose to be your partner?
I feel like it's got to be Zach. It's got to be Zach Adam.
Mm-hmm.
I've collaborated with him on a lot of things, and we're a dangerous combination. Zach and I.
I feel like everybody is going to say Zach. I'll be honest. I might have to nix that question.
It's just we do a year where it's just Zach works with every other director to make their film. The problem is that he would say yes.
Yeah, no, he absolutely would. He's amazing. Tell me a little bit about your voting criteria. What boxes need to be checked in order to earn your vote? For example, like some people have the stipulation that if it's late, I'm not voting for it. Other people might be, Zach will probably vote for anything that has zombies in it. What are some of the things that will earn a Josiah Downey vote?
I would say number one would be if it makes me laugh or not.
Mm-hmm.
Number two would probably be the audience reaction, like experience of seeing it with the group and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like as I'm thinking back to vote, I'd be thinking back to what the experience was like watching it. This year was incredibly difficult to vote. It took me a while to figure out. So I was like looking through and I was like, man, these are all just so good. So yeah, for some of them it was kind of a toss up. It was just like, nope, I gotta vote for one of them. But yeah, I would say the humor and the experience as far as in the room and stuff would be some top things.
And a lot of that experience in the room or how it plays in the room comes from knowing your audience for sure.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
That is all the questions I have. Are there any Easter eggs or fun facts, stories from behind the scenes that you want to share that we haven't covered yet? I'm not editing this out either. The silence is going to stay in.
Okay.
The longer you think, the lower my ratings go. Just so you know.
the more views just start dropping off over time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for the commercial that had Zach and his brother, we shot that over at his house. I think that was the first thing that we shot that I shot out of anything for this year. Mm-hmm. There was a lot more footage shot for that than make it into the final cut because it had to be cut down to 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna commit here to make sure that I actually do this. I'm going to release the extended cut of that commercial with all the different shots of Zach trying to hunt down this mouse within a week of when this podcast airs. So keep an eye out for that.
That works. All right. He made that commitment. If he does not do it, hound him in the chat. To make sure that he does that.
Yep. I want to say thank you to everybody because it definitely was a collaborative thing. Like a lot of people took time to, record different parts and pieces of it. I appreciate you taking time when you were because you were actually at a hotel, right?
I was on the road.
You were on the road, so you were at a hotel. So all of those parts where you're doing those different actions and stuff, like you were in like a conference room, right?
Yeah.
In like a hotel and stuff. So thank you for making the time to actually record that so that it could all come together. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I really enjoy working with you all and just creating different things and seeing what everybody comes up with. And I'm very excited to continue on this tradition into the coming years.
Well, Josiah, like we established earlier, your trajectory just keeps going up and up and up, and we can't wait to see what you do next year. This has been the PRFFP, and I'm just hanging out
with my family.